Two teams both in the bottom of the ACC. Which one will get that win on Saturday? We will talk about it.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to a Locked On crossover episode between Locked On Boston College and Locked On Syracuse. I'm your host, AJ Black. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. On today's show, we're going to get predictions. How does either team win this game? Someone's got to win it. Storylines for the game, and we'll get into the sadness bowl between two teams that are really struggling. And to do that, we have Locked On Syracuse host Jackson Holzer here. Jackson, how's it going?
It's going better than these football teams. Let's say that. Are you sure that somebody has to win this game? Can we end it in a tie?
I feel like we could have gone with this game just being a truce for the season and just end it. You know, like no one needs to play this game. Everyone's hurt. No one is here. So the game, it's going to be in Syracuse. You've got 1-10 BC versus 3-8 Syracuse. Let's start this off by talking about where Syracuse is at. Steve Angeli goes down. Everything falls apart. How important was he to what you had going on? Obviously, you had that big win against Clemson. You're looking really strong to start the season. Now things are falling apart. Where is Syracuse at without Angeli?
Evidently, Steve Angeli was the entire team. He was the only player on the team, and he apparently was the one who was carrying. And they were 3-1, and they were looking like a team that could compete in the ACC this season. And I thought with Ricky Collins, given the fact that he was a 4-star recruit from LSU, who they had gotten in the portal, who was originally going to be the starter for this team before they got Steve Angeli, that Syracuse, yeah, maybe they didn't no longer have the ceiling that they once had with maybe Steve Angeli, but they would at least be able to tread water, perhaps get to 6 wins, get a bowl. Everyone still feels good because you did it with the backup quarterback. But instead, Syracuse relies on its offense. They have done so for the past 2 seasons in the Fran Brown era. They have never been able to build a good defense. And so the offense, all of a sudden, it can't move the ball. It can't pick up first downs. It turns the ball over. Ricky Collins, I don't understand how he became a 4-star recruit to LSU. And I think there's a reason why LSU was fine with letting him go. He struggled mightily. And so Fran Brown, he had a brilliant idea. He had a brilliant solution, AJ. Want to hear it? All right.
Go for it. Let me hear it.
Let's start a true freshman walk-on lacrosse player at quarterback and see how it goes.
That's crazy.
Brilliant. That is genius right there. That is true coaching genius. I got to give it to Fran Brown for really thinking outside the box. Now, if you just take away the results of it, you know, you would think it's a brilliant idea. The problem is that when you look at the results, his first start against North Carolina, way to go, Fran. His first start against Bill Belichick, you know, one of the great defensive minds in the history of the game, 4 of 18 for 39 yards. Sits him for a couple of games after that, leads 1 garbage time touchdown against Miami. A garbage time touchdown at the end of the game, decides, you know what, I'm going to go with Joe Filardi again against Notre Dame last week.
Yeah, we saw what happened there.
70-7.
Yep.
He's starting again this week, AJ.
Did that surprise you? Because I thought the way that they were doing that with Filardi, that they were either putting him in to feed him to the Lions against Notre Dame so that your other quarterbacks didn't get killed, or so that you could have like Ricky Collins or even, you know, Luke Carney or Rich Byline play this week. But he goes back to Filardi again. That made no sense to me.
It made no sense to begin with. It never should have happened.
Right.
I don't understand why you think it's a good idea to start a walk-on true freshman lacrosse player. I mean, it doesn't. It's like the jokes write themselves. Donnie Freeman is out for basketball. Are we going to call someone up from the men's soccer team to go play power forward now? Like, It makes no sense. With all due respect to Joe Filardi, I mean, he's doing his best. This isn't really about Joe Filardi. It's more about Fran Brown and putting players in a position to succeed. And quite frankly, can Joe Filardi one day be a successful quarterback? Maybe he can. I mean, we see underdog stories before. It's happened. I mean, Baker Mayfield was a walk-on quarterback. It can happen. I'm not sitting here saying Joe Filardi, I'm going to bury him. He has absolutely no chance to be a good football player one day. But walk-on true freshman, in no way, shape, or form should he ever be playing a game, ever, in his freshman year.
Right.
The full year at least of development. And the fact that Fran Brown can't see that and the fact that Fran Brown continues to stick with him, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe he somehow lights it up this week against BC, but I have my doubts.
Hey, you never know with BC's defense. Anything can happen. And they can make anyone look great. But you mentioned something earlier I wanted to get back to. The most surprising thing about Fran Brown and this Syracuse team is the defense, because he came to Syracuse as a defensive mind. This was a guy that was a defensive backs coach for, Georgia, Temple, a whole bunch of other schools. And the fact that Syracuse kind of lost that identity with him and has gone more towards an offensive, more of an offensive power than with the right quarterbacks, obviously. Does this surprise you that Brown has really kind of struggled on the defensive side of the ball?
Very much so. Because I think you laid it out perfectly. I mean, he's a former defensive back. He made it to the NFL playing defensive back. He's been coaching defense ever since he arrived in coaching. And all of a sudden, he just can't build a defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, is it the scheme? Is it the fact that he's got the wrong defensive coordinator in place, his buddy Elijah Robinson, who, by the way, is going to be back next season? Or is it more of a personnel thing? Maybe it's that he knows how to get an offense running, even with personnel that might not be 4 or 5-star talent. But when it comes to defense, he can't build a defense unless you give him more talent. So I guess we'll find out next year. But it's been one of the more surprising things in the Fran Brown era, which is, okay, if you give him a good quarterback, he's going to cook up an elite offense. And not just, a good offense. No, one of the best offenses in the country. Steve Angeli was quite literally leading the nation in passing before he got injured. Okay. Kyle McCord last year set every ACC record last year in passing. He was terrific. So he builds elite offenses. It's the defense next year that's going to have to change. They have to get a lot better on the defensive side of the ball. And of course, get your quarterback healthy.
Yep. And I heard him say yesterday, too, that he wants to get 2 more quarterbacks in the transfer portal behind him.
I'm with him on that. Absolutely.
Yep.
We learned this year that you can never have enough.
Nope. So 3-8, obviously not the direction that Syracuse is going for. I mean, what do you think when you're thinking back at this season? What is like the big takeaway for Syracuse in 2025?
I think there are 2 takeaways. Number one, Steve Angeli got hurt. I do believe that if Steve Angeli were healthy, that this team would at minimum be a bowl team this season.
Yep.
It was a tough schedule on paper going into the year, but just the way that the team was trending, the way that the offense was humming, I do believe that Syracuse would have been able to pull out some games that they maybe weren't expected to win, and therefore they would have gotten at least 6 wins. And so we would have looked at it and say it's a young roster, young team, but with a good quarterback, we were still able to make a bowl. There's momentum for next season. So number one takeaway is Steve Angeli got hurt. But the number 2 takeaway is you got to get better everywhere else on the roster, because it's not just that Steve Angeli got hurt. It's the fact that the entire team since then has completely crumbled. I mean, how many players on Syracuse this season have legitimately played well? There's maybe only a handful. And that's about it. I mean, you got Demetrius Samuel, the corner, Antoine Delorier, the linebacker. Byron Washington has had his moments as a true freshman offensive lineman. I love him for the future. Thank goodness that he's announced already that he's coming back. But outside of that, whether it's because Steve Angeli got hurt or whatever the case may be, it's their own ability. The entire team has crumbled since his injury.
I mean, when you have an elite quarterback like that, that can obviously change the entire direction of a program. And we're going to switch seats here in a minute. I'm going to have Jax after the break. We're going to have Jackson talk to me about Boston College. Speaking of injuries, we'll get into all that in just a moment. The holidays always make a little easier when you already know the perfect gift, and Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. I got a Omaha steak box a couple years ago for a Christmas present from one of my family members. My wife and I loved it. It was delicious. The food was high quality. You could not beat this deal. I'm telling you, check it out. Save big on an unforgettable gift with the Omaha Steaks. The steaks are delicious, by the way. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And add an additional $35 off by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's a great deal. Don't want to miss that. omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details. Locked On Boston College and Locked On Syracuse here. Thank you to all our everydayers, and I think I'll speak for Jackson and say happy Thanksgiving to all of you. If we have not said it already, I didn't do a show yesterday because I was traveling. And thank you to our everydayers. Thank you to all of you who have also made Locked On Boston College and Locked On Syracuse your first listen every day. All right, Jackson, you're in the host seat now. You can ask me anything you want about BC. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, your team is currently sitting here dead last in the ACC. You're the only team that's currently ahead of Syracuse right now at 1-10. So ha. Syracuse is that much better than you guys. I'm just kidding. Actually,
you can't hurt me. I'm already dead.
You can't hurt me either. Honestly, you gotta embrace the sadness bowl as you have laid out already for us. So why has this season gone south?
I got to start with it's a cliche, but injuries killed BC, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. You don't want to make an excuse for a team, but when you look at the amount of snaps that BC lost to injury, it's crazy. They lost their 2 starting cornerbacks within the first 3 weeks of the season. So you were down to your 3rd stringer. You lost your starting linebacker in the 3rd week. You lost 3 of your 4 starting defensive tackles. You lost depth everywhere. And as the season has gone on, I mean, you saw the injury report yesterday or the availability report. It's just gotten worse. So the defensive side of the ball has been a nightmare for BC because last week, and he's not on the injury report, so I'm guessing he's playing. Max Tucker, who's going to be a starting cornerback for this game, he's playing with a broken elbow. Fun. You have the starting defensive edge rusher is going to miss this game for BC. Quintavious Hutchins, the only one who can actually get any pass rush going. It's a nightmare. The injuries have been an absolute nightmare. And Bill talked about that this week, about really looking at what happened this year, because he needs to figure out why the injuries were so bad for BC. That's one piece. There's other pieces too. They put Dylan Lonergan out at quarterback. He looked great to start the season. Like, it was a battle with him and Angeli to start the year off, like, who's the best looking ACC new quarterback. But then he fell off a cliff. Lonergan started to struggle. Defenses kind of made adjustments to him, and he just fell. He struggled. Then they ended up putting back in Grayson James, who you guys saw last year. He did nothing, and it's just been kind of a cycling back and forth. Adding in that the offensive line has really taken a step back after losing 3 guys to the NFL draft. They didn't address that at all during the transfer portal, and that has been a bit of an issue. The offense has been hit or miss, though, because they put up 34 points against Georgia Tech and 500-plus yards against them. So they've been able to do it at times. Lonergan, I've heard, was playing hurt through most of the season, too, because literally everyone on this team is hurt. And now he's healthy, so that's a big add. On top of that, I have not been a big fan of, the coaching. I think the offensive game plans, some of these games have been not good, just not good. Defense has been stuck with the injuries. They cannot get a pass rush to save their life. They have 0 pass rush. When they rush 4, BC gets nothing at all. They cannot get anything. So what that forces Tim Lewis to do, their defensive coordinator, is blitz like crazy. And BC, I think, is like 2nd or 3rd in the country in blitzing, because that's what they have to do anything, which then puts all your young guys that you're throwing in there because your team's hurt onto islands where they have to cover good receivers one-on-one, and that's killing them. It's like this cyclical thing on defense where they're just not doing it. So you add all of that together, and then I gotta take a bit of a shot at Bill O'Brien too, because he whiffed hard in the portal. He got Dylan Lonergan, who I think is fine, the punter, because BC's punting was atrocious last year, and that's it. Every other play that they've landed has either been a role player or has done nothing. And so you lose all these players to injuries. All the portal guys, they brought 17 guys in. None of them are doing anything other than the two I mentioned. So add that all together into that creates yourself a nice 1-10 stew.
It's funny you mentioned the punter because with Syracuse, I mean, that's our best player.
Yep.
Our punter is awesome, Jack Stonehouse. He's not a portal addition. He was here last year as well. He was, I think, here the year before that. But yeah, Jack Stonehouse is a great punter, and you guys have a great punter too. So, hey, with these miserable teams, we both have excellent punters, which could come in handy in this game, in the Sadness Bowl, where I have legitimately no idea how it's really going to go in terms of how many points that each team is going to be able to score.
So I want to jump in with one quick thing that's actually a connection to Syracuse on the best player for BC, which is their field goal kicker. BC has had no field goal kickers for the last 15 years. It's always been a gigantic issue, whether it was Adazio, Halfley, even last year under O'Brien. Luca Lombardo has been perfect, 14-14 for field goals, plus a couple 50-yard plusers and all his extra points. And he used to be a soccer player at Syracuse.
I've actually said before, I don't think on a podcast, but I've said it to my friends that I think more and more teams in football, they need to start looking at soccer players and start converting them to kickers and punters. I mean, Do you see how they kick the ball? Do you see how far it goes?
Yeah.
Do you see how far a soccer goalie can punt a ball? Like, I know it's not the same ball, but can you just see it? Like, you can.
It's not that hard of a change, right? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert punter over here. I don't know how to teach punting mechanics. Otherwise, I would be doing that, but I'm not. But the point being is that, there's an adjustment that can be made over there. But back to BC, you mentioned Dylan Lonergan as the quarterback. I mean, do you believe in him long-term as the guy for BC, or do you think that Boston College is going to make a change this offseason?
I think he is the long-term answer. I don't have as much faith, I'm sure, as Syracuse does as Angeli.
Let me stop you right there with Steve Angeli before. His is more about health. He needs to get healthy. If he's healthy, I think he's the guy. If he's not, that's where Fran Brown's saying we need two portal guys. Continue.
Sure. So I think Lonergan, when he has a more complete team around him, both on the offense and defensive side, will be fine. Because a lot of games he's going out there, they couldn't run the football at all. They can now, and I think they'll probably run pretty well against Syracuse. But he didn't have a complete offense. It was all just him. I think it was the Michigan State game. He threw like 50, 55 passes. Like, they want much more balance on that. And the offensive line in some of those games, especially like the middle of the season when they were playing Pitt, Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame, those types of games, he's getting less than 2 seconds to get rid of that football. And this is a first-year starter. I think it's unfair to like bash him for that. I think that's more on like the offensive line and all that good stuff. I do think he's going to be better. Like, he, again, against Georgia Tech, he's healthy. Offensive line played a lot better. He looked great. He, for the most part, did everything you needed him to do. They still didn't win because the defense can't stop anything, but I thought he looked good. So I don't think they'll go portal. They got two freshmen coming in, or one freshman coming in, one that I suspect will be coming in. And then they got Shaker Rising, who's a true freshman who's played a little bit this year. So I think they'll probably roll with that. They may go for a portal guy, but look, BC doesn't have a huge, war chest to go into the portal. And I would think quarterback is pretty low on their list because they need help everywhere else.
Fair enough. What are you looking to see from Boston College in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I think, you want to see if they can actually get their offensive game plan going, because they did against Georgia Tech. Like, they've played so many good defenses that like just kill them. And no offense to Syracuse, they don't have a good defense. So this should be a game where you could get Turbo Richard going or Jordan McDonald and be able to pass and move the ball. If they can score points, that's a positive. That's what we're looking for. Defensively, again, you're not playing an elite quarterback. I'll tell you what my horror story is. What I said on my show. I know that they have already said Filardi's going to be the starter. I'm waiting for him to go like 0 for 6 to start the game. They're going to put, how do you say his name? Byron? Is it Byron?
Rich Bellin, I think.
Bellin. He's going to come in and throw for 300 plus yards. I said that on my prediction show because, like,
I would be
the way this season has gone. I
would be thrilled if he were to do that. I would go on the post game show and be like, "Where has this been all year? Why wasn't he the backup quarterback?" Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if you're losing your job to a walk-on lacrosse player, I don't I don't have much faith that he is any better.
Right.
Which,
But,
what does that say about Syracuse's quarterback room right now?
True. Well, I mean, Ballin was the Gatorade Player of the Year for New York, I think, last year, wasn't he? I think I remember seeing that. So, like, I don't know. I've seen enough with this defense to never expect good things.
It's okay. It's okay, AJ. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay.
It's been like that all year. So I'm expecting, I expect the unexpected with Syracuse. I think that their offense is going to find something, and they're going to be able to hammer BC with it because every team has been able to do that this year so far.
I couldn't disagree with you anymore about Syracuse's offense.
I don't know.
Have you seen the Syracuse offense
at this point? I know. I watched it last week, and I go, I know this is going to somehow turn around.
I don't think they scored 20 since the Steve Angeli injury. I don't think they have.
My co-host or my special host that I have like twice a week did the research and found out that since Angeli's injury, Syracuse has scored 19 total points in the first half.
That's 19 more than I thought.
So yeah, it's been bad. I get that.
Yeah, I think you can count on one hand how many offensive touchdowns Syracuse has since the Angeli injury that weren't in garbage time, that were like meaningful touchdowns. Like, oh, this was a big touchdown. There was like a couple that they had in the Pitt game that were somewhat meaningful. Yep. SMU, they had a meaningful touchdown. I'm struggling now. It's hard to remember all the touchdowns because it's just they don't have any.
So you know what this game makes me think of? It reminds me of, was it 23? I think it was. We're at Syracuse, and you started Carlos Del Rio Wilson. Is that his name?
Yeah, that game is.
Who's absolutely lighting it up. I looked up his stats the other day. I was like, wow, you guys probably wish you still had him. He's got like App State, I think, or something like that.
No, he's at Marshall. He was Ricky Collins before Ricky Collins.
Yeah,
that was Carlos Del Rio Wilson.
Yeah, and even that game where when Syracuse came in with no expectation on their offense, it took Tommy Castellanos like a miracle touchdown at the end of the game to win that one. So I feel no confidence at all in this game. Either way, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. I just know it's going to be ugly. And I love that it has ACC championship implications for teams, which is so insane.
I don't think it's actually going to come to that because if you actually look at all the tiebreaker scenarios, every team needs like this, and this, and this, and this. And then you get to the Syracuse Boston College game for what, like common opponents or something like that, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know exactly how it works. But yes, it could come down to Syracuse and Boston College to determine who gets to play in Charlotte next week, which would be such an ACC thing for the year of 2025.
And speaking of ending this discussion, we'll be back in just a moment to give our predictions. Both Jackson and I will tell you who we think is going to win. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. Hey, if you listen to my show, you know that I'm a big fan of the parlays. For basketball, you could go with Jaylen Brown points, the Celtics to cover, and you could add reboundings for Sam Hauser if you wanted to. Put that together. And what I love about FanDuel is they have profit boosts. They have all sorts of no sweat bets and different things that you can find every day if you're on the app. So check out FanDuel right now. It keeps the game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Locked on Boston College and Locked on Syracuse here with a special crossover episode, our post-Thanksgiving, end of the season, hallelujah, Syracuse and BC season is over episode of Locked on BC and Locked on Syracuse. Now it's time for predictions. BC is a 3.5-point favorite on FanDuel right now, at least last I checked. What are you predicting for this game, Jackson, other than pain?
Well, there's going to be a lot of pain. So I told you off air that when I give you my prediction, fair warning, I'm not trying to reverse jinx this. Okay? I'm really not. So Boston College fans, I'm not trying to sit here and sound smart or anything like that. Like, I'm just predicting this, so it goes sideways and we can laugh at you. No, like I'm doing this based on what we have seen from Syracuse this entire year since the Steve Angeli injury. So with that being said, my prediction for this game, Boston College will win 31-13. What about you?
So my co-host Mitch Wolf has one almost identical to you. So you're right there. I'm insane. I'm going to tell you right now that my decision is because I've been burned so bad by BC all season long, where games where I picked BC to get crushed, like I picked them to lose to Notre Dame, basically almost the same score that Syracuse lost to them.
You picked them to lose 70-7?
It's like 6. I think I picked because I thought they would go for style points. 63-10, I think, is what I picked them to lose. And what happens? BC's like tied with them in the third quarter. I don't know. With this team, I have no idea. I look on paper and I think, okay, offensively, BC probably has an edge here. They should be able to score points. That should be a positive for them. Again, that defense gives me the shakes. I don't know what they're going to do. So I'm picking an insane score, and I don't know why I'm going down this road. I do have BC winning. I'm going to have them winning this game 38. I'm going to have Syracuse scoring 30 points.
No way. You're done. They are scoring 30?
Yeah.
30 points?
Watch.
Are you 30 points? I'm going to read you. Okay. I actually charted it. How many meaningful offensive touchdowns this Syracuse offense has since the Steve Angeli. You ready?
Yes, I'm go for it.
Okay. They had one against SMU. One meaningful touchdown.
The whole game?
That's it. Unless you want to count the touchdown they made it 31-18 with 5:20 left. You counting that one or no?
Nah.
That's one meaningful touchdown against SMU.
Yep.
You had one meaningful touchdown, or wait, let me look at the Pitt one. I think it's two meaningful touchdowns against Pitt. I'm going to count one with 6 minutes left that made it a 10-point game. So you have three meaningful offensive touchdowns for Syracuse since the Steve Angeli injury. Georgia Tech, they had, let's look at it right now. They had one meaningful touchdown. So you have four. North Carolina, they had a defensive touchdown. Miami was a garbage, and Notre Dame was garbage. Four meaningful offensive touchdowns since the Steve Angeli injury. I told you you can count on a handful. Four.
All right.
The fact that I'm picking them to get 13 points is a minor miracle here.
All right. So I'm being crazy. I told you that. I'm being fast and loose with this.
The 38 from Boston College would not surprise me, because here's the thing with Boston College. To your point, they are kind of unpredictable because, to their credit, this is why I have said Syracuse is really the worst team in the ACC and not Boston College. Boston College has been competitive in games. Boston College has had chances, and I know you know this, but Boston College has had chances to win games, and for whatever reason, they have not won games.
Right.
But at least it's been a watchable product, and it just sucks that they can't come out
and finish
victorious.
Games. Yeah.
With Syracuse, it's every game has essentially followed the same script. They can do absolutely nothing on offense because their quarterback play, it's like if me and you started playing quarterback out there. How do you think it would go? Not very well. Well, that's basically Syracuse's offense right now. And their defense can't stop a nosebleed. So they end up getting annihilated. They have barely been in any of their games since the Steve Angeli. They were sort of in it against Pitt. They were actually leading at the half against North Carolina in a fluky way. That's about it. They're getting crushed in these games. So Boston College, what does it say about a Syracuse team that's at home against a one-win team and they're still underdogs?
Yeah, I see that point too. I think there's the rational part of my brain that says BC should probably win this easily, but I can't get those words out of my mouth.
I understand it. I get it. I get it. It's a one-win. It's a one-win Boston College team. How could you think that this is going to be an easy game? But Syracuse is that bad. I said this last week. I don't think Syracuse right now would go 500 in the Sun Belt Conference. I don't think they would. I would think they would go under 500. I think they would lose a lot of games in there because they can't do anything. What are they good at right now?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think BC's kind of in the same spot because I mean, BC lost to UConn at home. That was awfully, that was a tough one. But yeah. All right, Jackson, let's head out of here. Where can people find you?
Sure. My personal Twitter at JacksonH_52. Locked on Syracuse Twitter at LO_Syracuse. We're also on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all that fun stuff.
And you can follow me at AJBlack247 on Twitter. And I'm, again, just like Jackson, I'm on everything from Threads to Instagram to Facebook. You can find me. Just look up either Eagle Insider, AJ Black, or Locked On BC. You can find me there. Go check me out over at Eagle Insider for written work. We have all sorts of stuff up on recruiting and the end of the season and all sorts of good stuff. It's going to be crazy over at Eagle Insider, I'm sure, with coaching changes and portal crap and all that good stuff coming up soon. So for Jackson, this is AJ. Thank you all for making us your first listen, and we'll see you again soon for another episode of Locked On Boston College and Locked On Syracuse, your team every day.